everybody. This is Nisi, and this is Sis with Ish to Say. Before we get started, please like, share, and if you are not part of the family, subscribe and hit the bell so that you're notified every time I got Ish to Say, because you know I got Ish to say about everything. So, without further ado, let's get started. So October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I didn't forget. I know we're towards the end of October, but I did not forget. I want to give a huge shout out to all of the breast cancer survivors. For you to have faced this monster, can't talk. For you to have faced this monster and still here to tell your survival story is such an incredible accomplishment. And I also want to give a huge shout out to my mommy, because she is a breast cancer survivor. So happy to still have you here. So happy that you were able to beat the cancer, and so happy that it has not returned. So love you, mommy. And also giving lots of hugs and kisses and throwing out love to the family members of the ones that lost someone to breast cancer. So that's that. So huge shout out to the survivors, and sending much love to those who have lost someone to breast cancer. In addition to October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so often when we think about domestic violence, we think about a man being abusive to a woman. And that's not always necessarily the case. A woman can very much so be abusive to a man. And we have to stop putting it out there that, it's nothing that a woman can do to make a man put his hands on her and he needs to walk away. If that woman is getting upset to the point where she feels like she needs to put her hands on that man, she also needs to walk away. So we need to stop kind of making an allowance for women to be abusive. And we also need to stop making it seem like a man is weak because he's in a situation. Not saying that he wouldn't be able to hurt that woman, but he also actually has a lot of strength to restrain himself from retaliating, because we all know how it would be if he retaliated. So we also need to teach our daughters to keep their hands to themselves, because women can also be abusive. Everyone needs to walk away. It is not okay for a man to put his hands on a woman. It is not okay for a woman to put her hands on a man. If two women are in a relationship, no one should be putting their hands on each other. If two men are in a relationship, no one needs to be putting their hands on anyone. Keep your hands to yourself, unless it's, romantically. Let y'all, touching on each other romantically. But other than that, yes, keep your hands to yourself. I myself was in a violent relationship. I was in a domestic violence relationship. And honestly, I didn't really realize that I was in something, what you would call a domestic situation, because I wasn't scared of him. You see on like Lifetime TV, or you see like in the movies, when a woman is being abused, like she's scared of him. She's trying to make sure everything's in order before he comes home. She's trying to make sure that she's on her best behavior so she doesn't say anything to trigger him. And I didn't have those feelings. And honestly, like, we fought. If he put his hands on me, I put my hands back on him. Like, we were fighting. So I didn't really think that I was in a domestic situation. And honestly, it was someone that I had absolutely no business being with. Like, this person wasn't even the caliber of man that I should have been dealing with. And I knew that, but I ignored the signs. He knew that. And he did everything in his power to try to bring me down. And where I was trying to build him up to get to my level, he was trying to bring me down to get to his. And just, just trying to make it seem like I wasn't going to be in a better situation than what I was in. And honestly, growing up, I never saw like a healthy relationship interaction. I just didn't. My thought was like it had to be toxic at first. And when you got through it being toxic, that's how you knew like you were building, you had like a strong foundation because you already got through like the toxic part of the relationship. So I will be honest, when I was younger, I was toxic. I was younger because I was toxic because I didn't have, the only examples that I had were toxic relationships. So I was toxic. And so I knew that I wasn't supposed to be with this man. I knew that he wasn't somebody that was going to be in a position to help me thrive. We weren't going to thrive in this relationship. And I went to someone that was close to me and I was just, explaining like, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. Like, I'm going to break up with him. And they just, were telling me that, I got to stop being so hard on men. And, like that man loves me and nobody's perfect. And, sometimes you got to put work into a person. So I listened and I stayed in the relationship and I became pregnant. And I had a child with a previous relationship. And like I mentioned before, I didn't have, a good example of what a healthy relationship was. So I will say that I did contribute to the breakdown of the previous relationship because I was toxic. And the breakup, after that, like my child from the previous relationship, like their father really wasn't involved. So this made me even more determined to work on this relationship that I was in now because I didn't want to have a repeat of the relationship that I had before. And just the pregnancy was just, it was like when I was pregnant, he was like, oh, well, I got her now. Let me kick back and put my feet up because I can really clown. And that's what he did. He really clowned. I remember, and this was actually before I got pregnant. I remember we had a fight the night before. And, I was banged up, kind of sore. And someone at work kind of like grabbed me or something. I kind of winced because I was, because it hurt. And he was just playing. And he was like, dude, beat your ass, huh? And he was playing, but he hit the nail on the head. He hit the nail on the head. And, it's just like situations like that. And the fighting didn't stop when I was pregnant. Like, I still had to, I was still fighting. And it was like, I knew this wasn't a good situation. But I just didn't want to have, like, I was just worried that, okay, if I'm not with this man, this child's going to grow up without a father. And he knew that was something that I was worried about, something that I was insecure about, and that he used that, to his advantage. So I did have my child, and another 6 months went by being miserable. until I just got fed up. I just didn't want to do it anymore. Fighting for someone that's not even trying to do anything with themselves, not trying to do anything for our family. So if I'm struggling, I'm going to struggle by myself. And that's when I told him I didn't want to be in the relationship anymore, that I just wanted him to be gone. And at first he was like telling me how much he loved me and why I'm trying to break up the family and, just all of that. And that wasn't working. So then he was like, I'm crazy. I'm always, pulling things, putting things, in my head. Like, he don't even be doing anything and I'm tripping and I'm just insecure. And then that wasn't working. And so then he got aggressive. Like, I ain't going nowhere. You want me out this house. You're going to have to put me out this motherfucker and all this stuff. And so then he started like backing me into a corner. And then that's when the fight started. So we started fighting in the living room. When the fight goes from the living room to the bedroom. At the time, my oldest child was 5 and she was in another room. And my baby was 6 months. And he was on the bed. And we're fighting in the room. And he had me in he got me to where he started choking me. And again, like I said, my toxic way of thinking, I'm thinking like, okay, he gonna choke me, he gonna shake me for a little bit, and then he gonna let me go. Because you hear men say, I won't hit no female, but I choke her ass. So I'm thinking like, okay, he gonna choke me, gonna shake me, and then he gonna leave me alone. But he didn't. Like, his hands got tighter around my neck. And like, I'm like, okay, he's not letting me go. And I remember trying to stay calm so I wouldn't panic and gritting my teeth so I could try to expand my neck a little bit. And I remember like I was trying to take shallow breaths, and I remember the sound, like it sounded like because I was trying to breathe. So he's strangling me, he's choking me, like he's not letting me go. And I remember like looking at him, and like I was looking at him and I'm like, dude is serious, like he is about to kill me. And I blacked out a couple of times. And I remember it was one time I blacked out and I kind of just accepted the fact that I was getting ready to die. And I remember thinking that my 5-year-old was in the room, and I was like, he's going to kill me and leave my body here. And my 5-year-old is going to think I'm asleep, and she's going to try to wake me up, and I'm going to be dead. And then I was thinking about my son, and I had a hard pregnancy. Like, he tried to come so many times. And I was thinking like, I fought hard to try to get this baby to come here healthy. And I'm not going to be able to love on him. He's not going to get my love. Like, he's going to have to get my love secondhand. He's going to have people tell him how much his mother loved him. And he's not going to be able to get love from me. And I was getting ready to black out one more time. And I just remember thinking like, my kids are going to be so messed up. And like, I wasn't scared for myself. I wasn't scared for myself. I thought about everyone but myself. Like, I didn't really have any good life insurance. Like, who was going to take care of my kids? Like, this stuff wasn't even sorted out. And I just thought about what the fallout after it was going to be. But I accepted the fact that, that this was going to be my last time on earth. And after I blacked out one time, I woke, I came back to, and something was loose. Like, it was something like he had his finger some type of way. It was something like something was sticking out. And with the last of my energy, like, I leaped forward and I bit him, and I just would not let him go. I bit him and I would not let him go. And I remember, like, I was like a pit bull on him. Like, I just had it was like a grip, and I was just like wagging my head, and like, cause I knew, like, the harder I bit him, the less his grip was on my neck. So when he finally let me go, I threw up. And like, I was just disoriented and like super dizzy, and I just knew I just needed to get to my phone, because I was like, I cannot fight him. If he grabs me again, like, I can't fight him. Thankfully, I was able to get to my phone, and when he heard me on the phone with the police, he ran off. And my mom was able to get my kids, and the ambulance came. And by this time, like, my eyes were turning red because he had bust all the blood vessels in my eyes. And they took me to the hospital to make sure that I didn't have any blood on my brain. Like, none of the vessels in my brain bust. And so I went, the doctor saw me. He asked me what happened. He listened. He was talking to me. And he asked me at any point, did I see tunnel vision? And I said yes. And he said, okay, so you probably would have blacked out maybe 1 or 2 more times, and then you wouldn't have woken up anymore. He said, so this is serious, and you're a mother. Your children need you. And I don't know how often you've gone through this situation, but you need to get out. So he gave me like all the packets and everything, like for shelters in case, I didn't have anywhere to stay and all that stuff. And I still had to go to work. Eyes completely red. Like, it was just like the color part, and then like where the white is, it was completely red, like stop sign red. And trying to keep my head down at work, because I worked in the office, trying to keep my head down at work, trying not to let people see my eyes. And it was a friend that I worked with, and she worked in the front office, and she saw me, and like, she grabbed me and she said, girl, what did that nigga do to you? And I kind of just played it off like, girl, we were fighting, because he mad because I don't want to be with him no more, and all this other kind of stuff. And my family knew, and like, I was embarrassed, because not everyone like knew what was going on. And I remember my dad called me, and I was embarrassed, and I didn't answer the phone because I just really didn't want to talk about it. Like, I was embarrassed. And I mean, I was able to get out of the situation. He ended up calling me some weeks later, saying that he was sorry and he wanted to see me, and like, we have a child together, we have a family. And I'm like, dude, are you serious? Like, you tried to kill me. And he said, just matter of factly, like, I did not try to kill you, and if that would have happened, it would have been an accident. Like, no regard or like, no, like, man, like, no sympathy or nothing. Like, I mean, it would have been an accident. I mean, I wouldn't have meant to kill you if I would have killed you. So I got out of that situation, and I've made sure that I worked on myself so that I was never in a situation like that again. And anybody that is dealing with something or dealing with somebody and you are in that situation, you got to get out. I'm not going to even say, get out for your kids. You have to get out for you. So often, when we have kids, we think about, doing things only for the kids and solely for the kids. If you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of your children. And you getting out of a situation like that is you taking care of yourself. So don't let anybody think like, oh, you're not going to get any better than this situation, because anything is better than that situation. Being single is way better than being dead. And some people are so scared of not having someone, so scared of not having someone. But if you're dead, you don't have anybody either. If you're dead, you don't have anybody. Your kids don't have anybody. Your family don't have you. Like everyone's losing all around. So definitely, if you are in an abusive situation, you need to get out of it, because it can escalate really fast. It went from me telling him like I don't want to be in this relationship anymore to me trying to claw at this man's hands to get his hands off of me so that I could, so I wouldn't die. It just went from there. So please, you are way worth anything. You are way worth more than anything than anybody putting their hands on you. You have so much more value than that. So if that is the situation that you are in, make sure you get out. That's all that I have today. And thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you so much for, letting me tell you my story. And before you leave me, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell so that you're notified every time I have ish to say. Thank you. Bye.